Hey guys, tonight we're wandering into a place that doesn't quite follow the rules. A jungle where vines curl upward instead of down, where your footprints form before you take a step, and where something very ancient, very clever, and very patient might be playing with the idea of time, just to see what happens. You came here looking for ruins. You know, some mossy rocks, a few jaguar carvings, the usual Indiana Jones package. What you didn't expect was to find a place where time runs weird, not in the poetic way, in the scientific headache kind of way. Like that moment when you're walking through fog and feel like you've already had this exact thought before. Only here, it's not déjà vu, it's déjà future. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, drop your city and local time in the comments. I love knowing when and where you're listening. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You trudge through thick brush, the air humid and vibrating with the sound of cicadas. Somewhere in the distance, a toucan croaks in annoyance. Or approval. Hard to tell. Your GPS is already lying to you. According to your map, you're standing in the middle of a highway, which is news to the vines wrapping around your boots. The jungle here feels dense in a different way. Not just physical, but layered. Like you're walking through moments, not space. Leaves rustle behind you before the wind even picks up. You notice your watch has stopped. You tap it. Nothing. You check your phone. Battery's full, but the time just reads 000. Cute. You push forward. The air shifts, suddenly cooler. The green canopy above parts, and you stumble into a clearing so quiet, it feels like sound's been turned off. In the center lies a stone platform, partially buried, eaten by moss, crowned with twisted tree roots. You approach, brushing away a leaf. And there it is. A circular stone, about the size of a round dinner table, tilted slightly like a forgotten satellite dish. Around the outer rim are glyphs, Mayan. You've seen the long count calendar before. Those intricate spirals of time the Maya used to chart not just days, but epochs, cosmic weather, and even divine moods. But this one's different. You blink, all the glyphs are mirrored, like they've been carved from the inside out. They don't spiral out, they spiral inward, folding tighter and tighter toward a center that isn't a date but a blank circle, polished so smooth it reflects your face. Backwards. You stare into the mirrored glyphs, and for a moment, just a flicker, you feel like you're being watched from the inside of your own memory. You blink again. You're not alone. To your left, a trail of crushed leaves leads deeper into the brush, toward a structure just barely visible through the green. Stone columns, mostly collapsed. A roof half-eaten by time. And something humming? You take a step toward it, then another. That's when the first weird thing happens. You hear a bird chirp, nothing strange, until you realize the chirp played in reverse. You stop, listening. Another one. Not an echo. Not a glitch. The jungle is making backward sounds, and then your foot lands in a puddle that's already rippling before you touch it. You try to shake it off. Maybe it's a weird frequency thing. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you skipped lunch. But then something catches your eye. A small metal object, half buried in the dirt. You dig around it and lift it. A compass. Antique. glass cracked, the needle trembling like it's drunk. But more importantly, it's spinning the wrong way. North points south, south loops west, and east just gives up entirely. Still, you pocket it. Because why not collect cursed items in the jungle? That always ends well. You continue forward, the calendar still tingling in your mind. You feel like it's following you, not physically, but like it's wedged into your brain now, a gear slowly turning in the background of your thoughts. The air smells of damp bark and something metallic, the kind of metallic that tastes like electricity. Your fingers twitch, though you're not cold. And just when you start to wonder if this whole thing is just a stress dream brought on by binging too many weird history channels, you arrive at the edge of the temple. Not a big one, not Chichen Itza or Copan, but still, grand in its own forgotten way. Slabs of limestone stacked into elegant decay, carvings worn to soft ridges, and in the center, a doorway, a wide, yawning mouth of shadow. You hesitate. A soft breeze rolls past you, but it moves into the temple, not out, like it's being sucked in, welcomed, expected. And here's the thing. You don't remember walking here. Like, sure you did, but the memory feels thin, like watching yourself play a video game. You remember the moment, but not the decision. Inside, something glints. You raise your flashlight. Dust dances in the air like it's caught mid-rewind. And carved into the stone above the doorway are those same mirrored glyphs. Different arrangement. Same direction. Inward. Always inward. Your feet move on their own. One step. Two. As you cross the threshold, a sound echoes behind you. Your own voice, but you didn't speak. It said, "You've been here before." The jungle breathes, and so do you. Or maybe you just stopped. Either way, you're inside now, and time, for better or worse, is paying attention. The air inside the temple is still, not quiet. Still. Like sound doesn't just avoid this place, it actively fears it. Your boots crunch softly over grit and ancient leaves. Every step you take feels hesitant, as if your body wants to go forward, but something deeper, maybe your instincts, maybe your common sense, is gently tapping the brakes. You shine your flashlight around the interior. The walls glisten faintly, not from water, but from some kind of mineral, mica maybe. Whatever it is, it reflects just enough light to create faint shadows of yourself that move half a second out of sync. And there it is again. That whisper of movement. Not yours. Before yours. You raise your hand and see its reflection start lifting just before you do. Cool. Love that for me, you mutter, trying to ground yourself in sarcasm. It helps. A little. The main chamber widens, and in the center lies a raised stone disc. Another calendar. Not just a duplicate of the one outside. This one is more intricate. Its glyphs, though still reversed, are moving. Not physically, they're stone after all. But your eyes refuse to accept that. You blink, and the positions shift subtly, like a slow dance just beyond your peripheral vision. There's something carved in the center. A mirror stone, polished obsidian, perfectly smooth and pitch black. You lean over it, and your own face stares back at you. But it's wrong, slightly older, or maybe younger. Your hair is different. The angle of your jaw, a scar you don't have. Yet, you step back, suddenly cold. That's when you notice the carvings around the base. They're stories. Each panel tells a tale. A woman carrying fire to the stars. A man whose shadow walks ahead of him. A jaguar with two tails. A serpent eating itself in reverse. And at the end of the sequence, a final panel shows the same mirror calendar, only shattered. The last image is blank, like someone forgot or chose not to finish it. And then you feel it. A breeze, a light one, just brushing your cheek. Only again, it's moving inwards, like the temple is inhaling. You follow the current, deeper inside. This next hallway is narrower. The floor mosaics are made of tiny, precise tiles, many missing, but enough remain to form symbols. One catches your eye, a hand holding a mirror to the sun. The glyph beside it translates loosely as that which shows the opposite truth. You smirk. Sure, nothing ominous about that. But it's at the end of this hall where the real weirdness kicks in. You enter a room with no visible exit. It's round, domed, and lined with glyphs carved into the ceiling in concentric rings, like a reverse planetarium. But here's the kicker. When you walk in, the calendar spins. Not like the whole ceiling rotates. No, the glyphs themselves blink off and on, switching positions like they're being shuffled by some ancient algorithm. You check your watch again. Still 00. Classic. But your phone's voice recorder? It turns on by itself. You didn't touch it. The screen reads, recording 13:21. Negative time. You're recording. In reverse, you slowly circle the room, and as you do, your ears start to pick up a hum. Not a sound exactly. More like the air is vibrating, the same way old TVs buzzed when left on a blank channel. That white noise with teeth. You look down. Your shadow's on the wrong side of your body. You're officially out of plausible explanations. This is where you find the stone. It's off-center, about knee-height, square, covered in mirrored glyphs that spiral in, yep, counterclockwise. But here's the truly fun part. You've already seen this stone. Not now, not before. You remember it in the future. The moment your fingers graze its surface, a memory floods your brain. You've touched this before. You will touch it again. You are touching it now. 3 moments, stacked like pancakes. For a split second, you're not just you. You're you who came before, you who will come after, and you who stands here now, all flickering through the same moment. Your knees buckle. You sit on the floor, breathing hard, the way you do when your brain decides it's done for the day. And in that fog of too much time, too much weird, too much what even is real anymore, a phrase bubbles up from somewhere inside your skull. The future echoes louder than the past. You don't know where you heard it. Maybe here, maybe in a dream, maybe later. But it makes a strange kind of sense now. Here's a historical anchor to cling to before your neurons fully untie themselves. The Maya were obsessed with time. Not just tracking it, but understanding its nature. Their calendars didn't just measure days. They mapped cosmic cycles, solar phases, planetary alignments, and even divine moods. The long count calendar tracked over 5,000 years with uncanny precision. But here's the thing scholars don't always mention. There were multiple calendars, and not all of them agree. Some tracked ritual days, others followed planetary gods, and at least one, found only in fragments, measured time in spirals, not lines. And yeah, some glyphs in those fragments, mirrored. Historians still argue whether those mirrored glyphs were mistakes, regional quirks, or intentional references to something deeper, like a cycle running backward, or a timeline meant to be unraveled. You sit there now, staring at the spiral stone, wondering which version of you left the fingerprints already smudged on its edge, and whether they're still here, or waiting. You sit in the hush of the chamber, unsure how long it's been. Minutes? Hours? It doesn't matter. Not because time's irrelevant, but because time here is disobedient. You rise slowly and walk back through the narrow hallway. But this time, something's different. It's not just the layout, it's the air itself. The breeze that once pulled inward now pushes gently outward, like the temple is breathing you out. The same vines curl around the entrance, but they seem older, browner, brittle almost. You step outside and the clearing has changed. The light's different, warmer, angled low. You check the sun and it's already setting, which is odd because it was barely past noon when you entered. You glance around, suddenly unsure. Was this tree here before? Was that hill always on your left? You're starting to question your memory. And not in the casual, did I lock the door kind of way. More like, was I always here? Did I arrive yesterday or tomorrow? It's a pleasant kind of panic. The kind where you're almost too fascinated to be scared. That's when you see it. The temple of Ix-Kak. Except you shouldn't be seeing it, because this temple is different from the one you just left. For starters, it's further away. Nestled higher in the hills, flanked by two spindly trees with bark as pale as bone. Its shape is familiar, but the stone is cleaner, less worn, fresher. You check your phone's GPS, still thinks you're on a highway. Batteries at 100%. Time. Classic. You make your way toward the second temple. The ground feels softer now, as if it's been recently rained on. But the sky is dry, and the scent of moisture hasn't touched your nose. Your footsteps leave no mark. You pass a rock. You blink. The rock is gone. You stop. Turn around. It's back. You step forward. Gone again. You're walking through a loop, or maybe a skip in the tape. Like reality here doesn't quite buffer correctly. And then the trees shift. No, they don't move, but their positions change. Just slightly. Enough to make you blink and check again. You continue toward the second temple, and along the way, you spot something new. A line of white stones, small and smooth, forming a trail off the main path. Out of place, out of time. You follow them. They lead to a small hollow in the earth, just behind a cluster of banana trees. And in that hollow, a campfire ring. Cold, but recent. Scorch marks on nearby rocks. Scattered food wrappers. A journal. You pick it up. The leather cover is damp, but intact. You flip it open, and your stomach drops. The handwriting's yours. But it's written in a way you don't remember. The style is yours. The doodles in the margins, very you. There's a half-finished sketch of the mirrored glyphs. A note. Why is it counting backward? What happens when it hits 0? You flip ahead. There are entries dated next week. Then the entries go back in time. a full month, then forward again. The last page is blank, except for a single phrase underlined in red ink. Don't trust the reflection. You stare at it for a moment, then look around. You're being watched. You feel it in that ancient primal way, like your skin is tuned into the static of the forest. You glance toward the trees, and that's when you notice the reflection. Not in water, not in a mirror, in the air. About 5 feet from where you stand, the space ripples faintly, like heat rising from asphalt. But the air's cool. Still, you step closer. There's a duplicate of you, a split second behind. It mimics your movement, but ever so slightly delayed. You wave your hand. It waves. Too late. It doesn't smile. You back away. The image shimmers and fades. Here's a breather before your brain unravels. Did you know the Maya sometimes built duplicate temples of existing ones? Not as separate buildings, but as layered reconstructions. Each new version built on top of the old one. Like a snake shedding its skin over and over, rising each time a little closer to the gods. Archaeologists at Tikal and El Mirador found up to 6 nested temples, each built at precise calendar intervals. Why historians still argue whether these layers symbolized cosmic cycles, royal reincarnations, or something more mathematical, a countdown or recursion of time itself. But back to you. You approach the second temple. The steps are smoother. No moss, no lichen. The glyphs are freshly carved, as if time here just began. You hesitate at the entrance. Then a low ding sounds from your phone. You pull it out. It's open to the Notes app. You didn't open it. One new note. Time-stamped tomorrow. Don't go into the second temple. You weren't supposed to remember the first. The screen goes dark. You look up, and something about the air shifts again. You swear the sky just turned slightly the wrong shade of blue. You're frozen at the base of the second temple, trying to decide if your brain is playing tricks on you, or if you've somehow become your own unreliable narrator. The stone steps loom above you, wide and shallow, just enough to make your calves ache in that annoying but not impossible way. But it's not the incline that gives you pause. It's that damn note. Don't go into the second temple. You weren't supposed to remember the first. Spoken like someone who knows exactly how this plays out. You scan the tree line. Still, no birdsong, no breeze. Even the bugs have gone suspiciously quiet. You take a breath, then you climb. 1 step, another, 27 in total. You count, just to stay sane. By the time you reach the top platform, your legs are questioning your life choices, but your brain is too busy noticing the silence. Because now, even your heartbeat feels quiet. The entrance here is different. Rounded, more like a tunnel than a door. Carved symbols ring the arch. Twin serpents, their tails eating each other. Familiar but mirrored. You know this pattern, but this time the serpents are reversed from what you saw earlier. Or is this earlier? You step inside. It's warmer here, but not just heat. There's a pressure, like the walls are holding their breath. The light behind you dims, not because you moved deeper, but because something has swallowed it. You don't panic. You're used to this by now. The floor is tiled, smooth. You walk carefully, eyes adjusting. The chamber opens up, revealing a wide room with a high vaulted ceiling, etched with glowing pigment. soft blues and amber reds, pulsing faintly in a pattern that feels like a heartbeat played in reverse. In the center of the room, another calendar stone. But this one isn't stone at all. It's metal. Polished. Cold. Set into the floor like a gear left by the gods. And as you walk closer, you realize it's not just a calendar. It's a clock. But not a regular one. It doesn't tick forward. It doesn't even tick. It spirals. Each rotation, each circle, spinning inward, with glyphs that shimmer between symbols depending on where you look from. You move slightly left, it says one thing. Move slightly right, another entirely. You kneel beside it and trace your finger along the outermost ring. A sensation zips up your spine, like static electricity and nostalgia had a baby. Then something clicks, not in the room, in your head. Your memory jumps, like skipping ahead in a movie. You suddenly recall leaving this room, though you've only just entered it. You remember your hands covered in ash. You remember humming a tune you've never learned. You remember someone watching you from above. And then the memory evaporates like steam. Fun fact time. The Maya didn't think of time like we do. Not a straight line, not a strict circle. They saw it as a set of intersecting cycles, with the Tzolkin, a 260-day sacred calendar, overlapping with the Hab, a 365-day solar one. The interaction between these two created a repeating calendar round of 18,980 days, about 52 solar years. And when these cycles overlapped just right, they believed the world reset. Not ended. Reset. Historians still argue whether this great cycle was purely symbolic, or if the Maya thought reality itself looped back, giving humanity a do-over every few centuries. And buried deep in some codices, most now destroyed, were rumors of a third calendar, one never meant to be read forward. You sit now beside the spiral clock, letting your thoughts unwind. The glyphs are speaking to you, though not in words, in feelings. You know the next step isn't about going deeper. It's about going earlier. The wall opposite the spiral begins to shimmer. Not glow, shimmer. Like heat or water or memory. You approach, and your reflection forms, but it's not moving like you. It moves slightly ahead, then waits. It raises its hand. You raise yours. Then it winks. You didn't wink. Then it mouths something. You lean in closer, trying to read the lips. 3 syllables. Ixkak. You whisper the name back. The air shifts. The spiral clock pulses once, hard, like a heartbeat from the earth itself. A small crack appears in the floor. You step back instinctively. The crack widens, revealing a spiral staircase descending into darkness. And carved along the side, a message in mirrored glyphs. Here ends the beginning. You know what that means. You descend. The air gets colder, but it's the kind of cold you associate with memory. Like opening a box of old photos you forgot existed. At the bottom, you find a smaller chamber, round, intimate. The walls are covered in glowing pigment symbols, but this time, they're not Mayan. They're familiar, though. One looks like a light switch. One looks like an audio waveform. Another looks like you. Drawn in the same style. Standing in front of a mirrored calendar. Holding a journal. Smiling. You don't remember smiling. Then a low chime echoes through the room. Not from outside, from inside your own chest. Like something was just activated. And then, for the first time since you arrived, you hear your own voice, not speaking, singing, from somewhere ahead of you. A melody you don't recognize but somehow know. And just like that, the room begins to dissolve. Not collapse, dissolve, like sugar in tea. You are not scared. You are curious. And that, more than anything else, might be the most dangerous thing in the temple of Ixchak. The singing grows louder, but it's not coming from behind a door or down a hallway. It's not echoing off walls. It's coming from inside the space around you, like the very molecules in the air are vibrating with music your brain hasn't caught up to yet. And it's your voice, or one version of it. It's humming a song that sounds like sunlight on water, like laughter you haven't had yet, like nostalgia for something that hasn't happened. The melody loops, changing slightly each time. A note added, a rhythm reversed. The tune isn't just repeating, it's rewriting itself. You try to hum along, and your voice, your actual voice, syncs perfectly. For a moment you feel in tune with something ancient, like the stone walls and your breath are vibrating in harmony. You close your eyes, and when you open them, you're standing outside the temple, but not the one you just entered. This one is broken, collapsed, crumbling, covered in vines and flowers that only bloom at night. The jungle around you is alive with sounds again. Frogs, insects, the screech of a distant bird who definitely thinks it owns the entire forest. The campfire's gone. The white stone path is gone. But the journal is still in your hand. You flip it open. It's empty. Every page. Even the cover is blank now. You look up and realize you're not alone. A figure stands on the far side of the clearing, near a tree that's slightly too symmetrical to be real. The figure wears a tunic of hand-woven cloth, embroidered with tiny mirrored glyphs. Their face is calm, unreadable. They're barefoot. Their eyes, solid black, watch you like they've known you longer than you've known yourself. They raise a hand in greeting, and then, before you can speak, they vanish. But not like a puff of smoke, not a sci-fi shimmer. They vanish the way a memory fades, slowly, sadly, and with weight. You shake it off. You need to regroup. You check your gear, your bag's missing. Your flashlight is now a wooden torch, lit somehow, and your watch is displaying Mayan numerals. Cute. You turn around, and behind you is a completely unfamiliar ruin. It's shaped like a coiled snake. The entrance is through its open stone mouth. The tongue? A staircase. Of course. Because why not make this day weirder? You descend. Again. The snake temple is smaller, tighter. The air is thick with incense and age. The walls here aren't carved. They're painted. Murals stretch across every surface in brilliant reds and teals and golds. Each scene tells a part of a story. One shows a woman cradling a mirrored calendar. Another shows a jungle turning inside out. A third shows a man with your face, staring into a black mirror that's reaching out toward him. You stop. Beneath that panel is a pile of old equipment. Satellite phone, hiking boots, a hat you're pretty sure used to belong to you. You're starting to suspect something. You pick up the phone. It powers on. No bars. but the screen flickers to life and shows a file. Re-clog. VID. You play it. It's you. Sweaty, covered in dirt, clearly terrified. You look into the camera and say, "If you're seeing this, I guess it worked." The calendar runs backward. The glyphs, they're not just time, they're memory markers, triggers. Every time you hit one, you remember more. But if you go too far, you loop. Again. You blink. The video glitches, restarts, plays the same message. Only your tone is slightly different. You fast forward. Same message. Different voice. Another version of you. Another loop. You close the phone and place it back. For someone else. Maybe yourself again. Here's a grounding nugget while you try to hold on to what's left of your mind. Maya mythology was rich with cycles, not just of the world, but of self. They believed in a soul made of multiple pieces, each capable of traveling between realms. Dreams weren't just dreams. They were journeys to other timelines. Some shamans were said to walk backward through memory, guided by symbols carved into their skin. One temple in Palenque was found to have a mirror room, its walls polished with obsidian to reflect nothing but firelight and human silhouettes. What it was used for? Still debated. Historians still argue whether these rooms were meant for ritual reflection, literal communication with the underworld, or something far stranger, like mapping a reverse path through time. You step into the next room. It's bare. Stone walls. A platform in the center. Sitting on the platform is an object you should not see. A laptop. Old, chunky, covered in jungle grime. You power it on. The boot screen reads, "Mirror log, session 004, no password. Just one folder. Inside, video files. Dozens. All titled variations of Return, Cycle, Do Not Watch. One file is named after your birthday. One is named after today's date. One just says, Watch me next." You pick that one, obviously. You press play. It's you again. Older this time. Or maybe younger. You look into the lens and say, the calendar doesn't predict. It remembers. It logs every moment backward. That's why the glyphs change. They're reading you. The only way out is forward. But you have to finish the spiral. Don't stop at the mirror. Go through it. You pause the video. You look around the chamber and realize the walls have started to change. Glyphs are forming behind the peeling plaster, rising like bruises under skin. You close the laptop, and in the center of the room, rising slowly from the stone, is another calendar. Not metal, not stone. This one is made of light. Mirrored, of course. And slowly, it begins to spin. The light calendar hums softly as it spins, hovering a few inches above the cracked stone floor like it's trying to remember gravity but isn't quite convinced. The glyphs flicker with a kind of restrained urgency, bright 1 second, dim the next, rearranging themselves in deliberate but unguessable sequences. You take a cautious step closer, and the floor beneath your feet vibrates ever so slightly, like a cat purring in reverse. It's not threatening, not yet. It's the kind of thing that feels more like a question than a warning, like the calendar is waiting to see what you'll do. You reach your hand toward it. No heat, no sound. Just a sensation that's hard to describe, like dipping your fingers into a puddle of déjà vu. and then you hear the jungle. Only it's not the jungle you just left. It's the jungle before. Before tourists, before paths, before cities. You hear howler monkeys calling in the distance, not to each other, but to you. Like they've been expecting this moment. Like they recognize you. The calendar pulses, and your vision blurs. Not from fear, but from something more internal, like your memories are being stirred with a very slow spoon. You blink, and suddenly, you're not alone. To your left, a woman appears, tall, barefoot. Her skin is deep brown, her hair in thick braids tied with red thread. Her clothing is ancient Mayan, but her face is calm in a very modern way, like a therapist who also happens to be a time-traveling priestess. She doesn't speak. She just looks at the calendar, then at you. Then she raises one hand and reaches into it. Her fingers pass through the spinning glyphs without resistance, and she pulls out a stone. Black. Perfectly smooth. It hums in her hand. Then she hands it to you. No words. Just a nod. You take it. The moment it touches your skin, your mind explodes. Not painfully, but massively. Like your thoughts are being replaced with layers of moments that haven't happened yet, or happened too many times to count. You see yourself, sitting in this same room with 3 other versions of you, all arguing in different languages, standing at the top of a pyramid during a lightning storm, holding this stone to the sky. Watching a village celebration where no one has a face, but they're all singing the same reversed song. Then it all collapses inward, and you're back, alone. Except now there's something in your mind, a phrase. You whisper it without meaning to. Backwards is the fastest way forward. You look down at the stone. The glyphs on it begin to rearrange, rotating into a spiral shape. You realize it's a key. Not metaphorically. It is literally shaped like a spiral key, one that turns inward, not clockwise. You turn around, and suddenly, the wall behind you isn't a wall anymore. It's a doorway, and beyond it, a jungle trail. But this one is wrong. Not in a scary way, in a rewound way. The trees are younger, the moss is brighter, the air smells cleaner. There are no footprints, no signs of human anything. You step through. The trail leads to a small clearing. At the center, a stone altar. Floating above it, another calendar. But this one is smaller, personal-sized, like a journal. You walk up to it, spiral key in hand. There's a small notch at the base. You fit the key into it. Turn, and the calendar opens. Like a flower. Petals of glyphs unfolding, revealing layer after layer of events, times, names, places. Your name, your face, your steps through the jungle, past, present, future. The calendar begins to pulse, and then it speaks. Not in sound, in emotion. A pure blast of sensation straight into your brain. The warmth of childhood. The unease of forgetting something important. The thrill of almost solving a puzzle. The crushing realization that the puzzle is you. You stagger back, gasping. And now the jungle itself is different. The sky above swirls with stars you don't recognize. Constellations in reverse. The trees lean inward, listening. The animals watch silently. The earth feels soft beneath your feet. but the kind of soft that suggests it's been walked 1,000 times before. By you, or someone wearing your face, or someone waiting for you to arrive. You might need a reality snack after that one. In fringe archaeology circles, there's a belief that some Mayan calendars weren't just spiritual tools, but neurological maps, literal guides for triggering trance states, memory journeys, and even temporal disassociation. The mirrored glyphs, believed by some to be catalysts for memory recursion, the act of remembering something so vividly it becomes real again. Mainstream scholars roll their eyes, of course. Historians still argue whether glyph mirroring was a ceremonial aesthetic, a regional scribal error, or a purposeful representation of inverted perception, a mind flipped inside out. You know what side you're leaning toward now. Back in the clearing, the altar glows faintly. Your spiral key hums once, then falls silent. A soft rustling comes from behind you. You turn nothing, but something's changed. Your journal, once blank, is now filled with pages. You flip through them. Each one is written in your hand, but each one is dated tomorrow, then the next day, then the day after that. And the final entry? Welcome back. You're doing fine. You sit cross-legged in the clearing, journal in your lap, spiral key warm in your pocket. The sky above remains frozen in that strange reversed starlight. Constellations that don't belong to any night sky you've ever seen. One looks like a jaguar curled into a spiral, another like a hand holding a mirror. You're not scared anymore. You're something worse. You're calm. That deep, eerie calm that comes after your brain gives up trying to make sense of things and just decides, okay, I live here now. You flip through the journal. Each page is written in your hand. Each entry is after now, but also not yet. You read, the mirrored glyphs start shifting at the 7th cycle. Don't be afraid. That's just the calendar learning your rhythm. Ixchak appears again soon. She always does. Ask her about the 7th room. You won't remember why, but she will. Don't stay too long in the red chamber. The geometry gets mean. You close the journal before your brain starts melting. You look up, and there it is again. A different temple, or maybe the same one, from a different angle in time. You recognize its silhouette from a book you once skimmed during an airport layover. Temple of the Foliated Cross. Palenque. Only it looks new, not restored, not preserved, just recently built. You walk toward it, past the boundary of the clearing. With every step, your surroundings subtly change. The vines recede. The moss disappears. The dirt path beneath your feet becomes stone. You're walking backward through erosion. And then you notice, you're not alone. People. Maya villagers. Not ghosts, not visions. Alive. They don't seem surprised by you. One woman nods as you pass. A child runs through your legs, giggling. An old man with a carved staff says something in classic Mayan that your brain translates a half-second late, like a bad subtitle. You always return when the sky is reversed. He smiles without waiting for a response. You enter the temple. Inside, the air is cool and perfumed with burning copal. Candles line the walls. And at the far end, there it is. Another calendar. But this one isn't mirrored. It's normal. You almost cry. It feels like seeing an old friend after being surrounded by strangers who all speak in riddles. Except, As you approach, the glyphs begin to shimmer. You blink. The glyphs invert themselves. Right in front of you. No tricks. No blinking. They were normal. Now they're not. And above them is written a phrase, in glyphs that pulse faintly in blue. To know the future, remember it first. You place your hand on the calendar. It doesn't react. Until you think of something. A memory. Not a past one, a future one. Of yourself, older, maybe wiser, standing in a high place with wind in your face, smiling because you finally get it. The calendar pulses once. The floor opens. No surprise anymore. Of course the floor opens. You descend. The hallway is longer this time, lined with murals. Each mural shows the same moment, but from a different angle. A young scribe drawing mirrored glyphs. A woman reading a calendar out loud while the jungle warps behind her. A traveler, always a traveler, entering a temple with a journal in hand. They're all you. Every single one. The end of the hallway opens into a chamber of echoes. You know it's called that, even though no one told you. The walls here are smooth, reflective, but not like mirrors. More like liquid memory. When you speak, your voice repeats, not immediately, but slightly before. You whisper, "What is this place?" The answer returns, "What is this place?" Before your lips move, you try again. "Where am I going? Where am I going?" Already waiting. You're caught in a feedback loop of your own mind. Or maybe the calendars. You can't tell anymore. You sit in the center of the chamber, cross-legged again. And then, from behind you, a cough. You turn. Ix-kak. Same woman. Same robes. Same calm. She walks toward you and sits. No ceremony. No monologue. Just presence. Then she speaks. In English this time, softly. You've remembered enough to begin forgetting again. You blink. Is that a good thing? She smiles. For you? Yes. For others? We'll see. You hesitate. Why am I here? She tilts her head. Because you were, and because you will be, and because the calendar likes you. Likes me? It chooses minds that bend. Yours folds nicely. You laugh, more out of exhaustion than amusement. She leans forward. Ask. You think back to the journal. You ask, "What's the 7th room?" Her smile fades, just a little. "Ah, that you'll find out soon. Try not to be rude when you do." You stare at her. She rises. Time's been waiting long enough. Come. She walks to the far wall, taps it. It opens like a curtain being drawn in reverse. Beyond it is nothing. Not darkness, not light, nothing. She steps into it. You hesitate. You hear your own voice from the chamber. What are you waiting for? You take a deep breath, because you're human. And that's what humans do when they're about to step into literal nothing and follow Ix-kak through the veil. The sensation is immediate and indescribable. You aren't walking. You're not floating. You're not even moving, technically. You're being moved by something that doesn't follow verbs. Your senses go haywire for a few heartbeats, or maybe centuries. Sound feels like taste. Time feels like touch. Colors hum at you. You close your eyes, and when you open them, you're standing at the top of a pyramid, Not a ruin, not broken, not moss-covered. This is the pyramid as it was, shining under a midday sun that isn't yours. All around you is a bustling Mayan city, alive. Smoke rises from clay ovens. Children race between stalls. Priests in intricate jaguar robes chant over calendrical stones, slowly rotating by hand. And overhead, hanging impossibly low, is a red moon you shouldn't be able to see at all in daylight. Ixchak stands beside you. No surprise there. This, she says, gesturing to the city, is when the calendar first began to reverse. You try to process. When was this? She shrugs. Not when. What? This is a when that wasn't. A moment so charged with memory that it looped itself. You glance down the steps of the pyramid. The people below don't seem to notice you. They can't see you, she confirms. They're echoes. You're the observer. You scan the city, and then you see it. The bell tower. Stone, squat, tucked beside a small temple. Nothing fancy. But even from here, you can tell it's wrong. The bell isn't hanging. It's floating and spinning backward. You blink. For a moment, the tower flickers. You see multiple versions of it, collapsed, rebuilt, made of wood, then stone again. It's like it can't decide when it is. Ixchak watches you. That bell, she says, rang once on its own, during the red moon. It reversed the tide of memory. And then, those who heard it, she trails off. You finish her sentence. Started remembering things they hadn't lived yet. She nods. You stare again. The bell emits no sound, but you feel it, like a thought pressing against your ears. You step forward. You're halfway down the pyramid when the world around you stutters. You blink. You're no longer walking down the steps. You're at the base. Ixchak is ahead, walking toward the bell tower. You chase after her. Inside the tower, it's cooler. The air smells like obsidian and something floral, something ancient, like flower petals that were pressed into stone thousands of years ago and are somehow still alive. The bell floats silently above you. It's carved with mirrored glyphs. As you approach, you feel the sensation again. Your thoughts being read. Your memories, some yours, some borrowed, start to flash rapidly. You as a child staring at a spinning top. You in a dream walking backward into a room where your reflection is waiting. You drawing the spiral calendar for the first time and last time. Ixchak touches your shoulder. When the bell rings, she says, your timeline may fracture. You won't die. But you may meet the parts of you that didn't happen. The echoes. The might-have-beens. You laugh nervously. Sounds fun. She doesn't laugh. I wasn't joking, she says gently. And then, without ceremony, she points to a rope. One pull. You hesitate. Then grip the rope, close your eyes, and pull. Nothing happens. Then everything happens. Here's a historical snack for your stretched-out brain. The bell isn't just a metaphor. In Mayan architecture, small towers or structures used to align with celestial events were built with resonant stones. Some scholars believe certain buildings could amplify sound for miles. Others think they were tuned to inaudible frequencies, like a temple-sized tuning fork. Historians still argue whether these bell towers were ceremonial signal stations or something else. maybe used for rituals meant to resonate with the human body or the earth itself. Regardless, what you just rang, definitely not covered in the tour brochures. The world tilts, the bell glows red, then everything fades to white. When color returns, you're not you. You're watching yourself from a few feet away. You're standing, no other you is standing, by the temple's edge, journal in hand, whispering something to Ixkak. She's not with you now. You look down. You're holding a spiral stone. Familiar, heavy, still warm. You watch as other you vanishes into the temple. And just like that, you replace them. You become the version you were just watching. The memories click into place. This isn't your first loop, not even your fifth. You remember versions of you who made different choices, who stayed too long, who left too soon, who refused to ring the bell, who threw the journal into the jungle and tried to swim home. All those paths, all those timelines, and they all led here, back to this moment, and this question. What now? You look up at the red moon. It begins to flicker, as if someone is adjusting the signal strength on the sky. Ixkak's voice echoes faintly. Now you find the mirror, the real one. You whisper back, "Where?" The sky responds, "Seventh room." You stand in the courtyard of the flickering temple, every stone vibrating with a low hum, like the whole world's running on a generator that's this close to giving out. The red moon is dimming overhead, or is it phasing out? It's hard to tell anymore. Reality's signal is full of static. You whisper, "Seventh room." And just like that, the ground opens. A spiral staircase unfolds from the courtyard floor. Its steps carved from a dark, glossy stone that reflects only what isn't there. You descend without asking for permission, because let's be honest, at this point, permission is a luxury concept. The air is thicker here, heavier. It doesn't smell ancient. It smells new. Fresh paint, maybe. The scent of a room that's never been opened. You reach the bottom, and there it is. A narrow stone hallway, 7 doors, each one marked with a symbol you now recognize instinctively. 1, the serpent, the spiral, the mirror, the eye, the calendar, the bell 7, the blank. You don't even pause at the first 6. You walk right to the blank. No symbol, no carving, just a smooth slab of stone that feels oddly polite, like it's been waiting for you to knock before misbehaving. You press your hand to it. It opens with a sigh. The room inside is pitch black, but not empty. You step in. The stone seals behind you, and in front of you, rising from the floor like a slow-motion gasp, a mirror. But not made of glass. Not obsidian. It's liquid. Shimmering. Standing upright. Refusing gravity like it's a joke. You walk closer. It doesn't show your reflection. Instead, it shows versions of you. Hundreds, thousands, some standing still, some pacing, some screaming, some laughing, all trapped behind the surface, watching you with eyes full of warning. You lift your hand, they lift theirs. Then one of them speaks, through the mirror. With your voice, "You're the first one who got this far." Another one chimes in, "Don't trust her." Then a third, "She's part of the calendar." You step back, heart hammering, and the surface ripples. Ixcock steps through it. No robes now, just a simple tunic. She looks younger, or maybe timeless. She smiles, but it's not the soothing kind anymore. It's the smile of someone who just revealed the twist ending in a movie you thought you understood. "Welcome," she says, "to the control room." You blink. "What?" She gestures around. Suddenly, the black walls light up. Glyphs pulse into visibility, scrolling, shifting, forming complex shapes and timelines like a celestial PowerPoint you didn't sign up for. And there, in the center of the room, is a massive calendar. But not spiral, not mirrored. It's three-dimensional, floating, turning slowly, like a galaxy made of dates, events, and possibilities. The calendar doesn't just track time, she says. It decides it. You're barely breathing. Each loop adds information, she continues. Each version of you contributes. Most don't get this far. Most get distracted. Or erased, you ask, not even trying to be subtle. She smiles again. You were always clever. That's why the calendar chose you. Chose me for what? She steps closer. To decide what happens next. You stare at the 3D calendar. Inside it, you can see your past loops, tiny shadows of you walking temples, flipping journals, pulling ropes, talking to reflections. Ixcock reaches into the calendar, plucks out a glowing strand. A moment. You can end the loops, she says. You can fix the spiral, anchor the timeline, but you'll forget. Forget what? She shrugs. Everything. Yourself. This me. You'll live your life as if none of this ever happened. You pause. And if I don't? She plucks another thread. This one shimmers red. You'll remember. But the spiral continues. More loops, more selves. The calendar keeps guessing. You step toward the mirror. The other versions of you are all watching. One presses their hand to the glass and mouths, "Choose wisely." Another, "Don't break the loop, you'll lose her." Another, "Break it, or we stay here forever." Ixcock offers you both threads, white or red, forget and escape, or remember and return. Let's take a historical breather before you hyperventilate. The Maya weren't afraid of cycles. In fact, they embraced them. The idea that time could repeat wasn't seen as a trap. It was seen as a feature. A way to try again, get it right, or even interact with the divine. Many carvings show kings and priests performing rituals meant to reset the calendar. Some believed these resets were metaphysical reboots, rituals that allowed cosmic timelines to correct themselves when they went out of sync. Historians still argue whether these resets were purely ceremonial or actual attempts to influence reality's direction. You're staring at the literal lever of that possibility. You take both threads in your hands. One glows warm, one pulses cold. Ixcock waits. The mirror waits. The calendar spins softly in the air, like it's whispering, "Now is always." You ask her one final question. Are you even real? She smiles. Does it matter? And in that moment, you feel everything collapse again. The walls melt. The mirror liquefies. The calendar folds inward into a single point of light. And you're back. Not in the temple, not in the jungle, but somewhere else. Familiar, and absolutely, completely wrong. You open your eyes. You're sitting on a stone bench in the middle of what looks like a modern museum exhibit. Polished floors, spotlights, velvet ropes, climate control, the works. A laminated placard on the wall reads, "Reconstruction of the Spiral Calendar Chamber, Palenque, Mexico, circa 700 CE." You blink, look down. You're wearing a t-shirt. It says, "Maya, you live twice, cute." You check your pockets. No spiral key, no glowing calendar threads. Just a ticket stub that reads, "Admission 2:22 p.m." You look around. Tourists mill about, taking photos. A family argues quietly about whether they've already seen this room. A kid leans into the exhibit and whispers, "I swear I saw it move." You stand. The mural on the far wall shows the temple of the foliated cross, rendered in watercolor. Beside it is a 3D printed replica of the mirrored glyph calendar. You walk over, half in a daze. As you approach, the glyphs shimmer, just faintly, almost like they're saying hi, or maybe welcome back, or maybe just finally. You press a hand to the fake calendar. Nothing happens. Of course it doesn't. It's plastic. Still, it feels warm. You look around for anyone you recognize, but no one meets your eye. Then, a woman walks by. Mid-30s, braided hair, simple clothes, black eyes that seem just a little too calm. Ixkak? Maybe. Maybe not. She glances at you, smiles, keeps walking. You turn back to the exhibit and notice something odd. A mirror, mounted on the wall behind the replica. Tacky museum mirror, probably for selfie taking. But your reflection is wrong. It's you. Older, wearing jungle gear, journal in hand, covered in dirt and scratches. You blink, back to normal. Just you. T-shirt, jeans, confused face. You step out of the exhibit. Outside the museum, the air smells sharper. You can't describe it. The world feels like it's been dialed one click to the left. People walk past you with earbuds in. A man speaks Spanish into his phone, but you understand him before he speaks. You sit on a bench, pull out your phone. No Notes app entry, no journal, but your screen wallpaper? It's the spiral calendar. You didn't set that. At least, you don't think you did. Let's spiral back for a second. There's one weird glyph in the Mayan system known as the crocodile spiral. Rarely used, usually reserved for esoteric or ceremonial scripts. Some scholars believe it represented a divine recursion, a symbol of time doubling back to consume itself, like a snake eating its own tail, but less polite. And in one partially translated codex fragment, there's a phrase, "When the spiral crocodile rises, memory becomes the sky." Historians still argue whether this refers to celestial calendars, reincarnation myths, or full-blown time collapse. You just sat through it. Back on the bench, your fingers twitch. You pull out a pen from your back pocket. Where did that come from? You grab a napkin from your pocket. You didn't buy coffee. And you begin to draw, without thinking. The glyphs, the mirrored ones, the spiral. You sketch them perfectly. And beneath it, almost without realizing. To end the loop, let go of the mirror. You freeze, then feel something in your other pocket. You reach in. A stone, smooth, black, spiral-shaped, warm. You stand. You walk down the street. Each step feels rehearsed, familiar, almost like it's been done before. Then you turn a corner, and you're no longer in the city. You're back in the jungle. The museum's gone. Tourists gone. The sounds of birds and wind rush back in like someone unmuted the planet. You're standing in front of the temple of Iktkak, but this time it's not quite the same. Smaller, younger, unfinished? Or maybe this is the original. You walk up the steps. No hesitation now. You're deep in the spiral. At the top, a man is waiting for you. He has your face, he nods, hands you a torch, says only, "Your turn." You don't speak. You take the torch, step into the temple, and the doorway closes behind you. But not with stone, not with wood, with memory. Let's pause to breathe. If you think this whole experience was one long metaphor for memory recursion, time manipulation, identity collapse, and the non-linear nature of existence, you're probably right. Also, maybe it's just a story about a really weird bell. That's the fun part. You don't get to know for sure, because the calendar's still spinning, and the mirror's still waiting, and somewhere, out there or in here, you're still walking the spiral, again, and again, and again. You've entered the temple more times than you can count. But this one? This time feels final. Not in a dramatic, closing the book kind of way, but like walking into a room you've cleaned 100 times, only to find the dust has arranged itself into your handwriting. The hall is dimly lit, not by torches or sunlight, but by a soft red glow coming from thin cracks in the stone. You realize the light isn't coming from outside. It's coming from between moments, seeping in from the folds of memory that have been creased and unfolded too many times. You walk forward. Your torch flickers, but it doesn't burn down. It doesn't change at all. It's a fixed point now, like you. A timeline marker disguised as a stick of fire. You pass murals that move slightly when you're not looking. Same scenes. The bell, the mirrored glyphs, Iktkak. But each time you glance back, the details have shifted. One moment she's smiling. The next, she's crying. Then she's gone and you're there in her place. Your head starts to ache. Your journal, the one that reappeared again in your satchel, because of course it did, vibrates softly. You open it. There's a message written in someone else's hand. This is the recursion point. You must go down. You must choose. You pause at the final doorway. It's arched, carved with concentric spirals that radiate from a single center glyph, the crocodile spiral. You touch it. The stone shivers, then dissolves. You enter, and instantly you know where you are. You're in the chrono spiral room. It's massive, cathedral-like, a dome of black stone etched with calendars layered like shells on an onion. And in the center, a massive stone platform with the Crocodile Codex on it. You've never seen this book before, except you have. You've drawn it, dreamed it, held it, lost it, burned it, buried it, all in timelines you don't remember but still somehow ache with. You walk toward it, boots silent on the polished floor. The codex pulses faintly. Its cover is thick, black stone, surprisingly elegant for something that looks like it could bite you if you turned your back. You open it, and the pages are mirrors, each one reflecting you, but not quite. Some pages show you at different ages, others show you with different expressions. One page shows you as a child holding a calendar made of Legos. Another shows you ancient and wrinkled, drawing glyphs in the sand. Every version of you has gotten this far. None of them turned the last page. You hesitate. But then, behind you, the bell rings. For real this time. A deep, echoing backwards bong that vibrates through your bones and sends a ripple across the codex's mirror pages. You turn the final page. It's blank. And then it's not. Words etch themselves slowly into the surface. The spiral ends when it's given away. The mirror stops when you stop watching. The calendar is waiting. Are you? You whisper, yes. The codex glows red. Glyphs rise from the page in a swirling cyclone of meaning and nonsense, memory and possibility. They form a tunnel, a swirling staircase of symbols, stretching into the air above you and down into the floor below. The codex vanishes. You're holding nothing. But everything has changed. The floor beneath you begins to lower. Slowly, smoothly. A spiral elevator carved of stone, descending through time itself. Each ring of the wall shows scenes as you pass. A Mayan priest lighting a fire while staring into a bowl of water. A child drawing spirals in the dirt, then wiping them away with a laugh. A group of travelers kneeling before a mirrored glyph calendar, unsure if they're worshiping or being tested. You pass centuries like floors in a dream building, and then you stop. A hallway stretches ahead, brightly lit. No torches, no ancient smell. At the end, you see a door. Modern, steel, with a keypad. Because of course there's a keypad now. You approach. It beeps softly as you touch it. Then the screen flashes. Enter the sum of your loops. You laugh. How many has it been? You close your eyes and whisper a number that feels right. Not because you counted, but because your body remembers the weight of that many recursions. The door clicks open. Inside is a mirror room. Walls, floor, ceiling, polished obsidian. And in the center, a simple chair. Facing you, empty. You sit, and suddenly, you see them. The lords of Xibalba. Not devils, not gods. Just weird, dressed in mismatched finery. Arguing in a language you understand only because your mind bends just enough to let them in. They bicker over timelines. They debate the direction of rivers. One holds a Rubik's Cube made of calendars and keeps muttering, "This shouldn't fit." Another is flipping through your journal upside down, looking annoyed. One looks up at you. "Oh, good," he says. Another you. He squints. "You're less twitchy than Loop 37. You blink." He leans back. "Well, got a question for us? We're here to help or hinder. Depends on the loop." Another lord groans. "Just give them the spiral stone already." You don't say anything. You just smile. Because you finally get it. They're stuck too, trapped in their own version of recursion. Bound to appear in the same place at the same time, debating your fate, endlessly. And you're the wild card. You're the one who remembers just enough to do something new. You stand, and the mirror room begins to fracture. Not break, just change shape into something unfamiliar. Finally, you don't run, you don't flinch, you just stand there, arms loose at your sides, as the mirror room around you cracks. Not like shattered glass, but like a mosaic reassembling itself differently. The lords of Xibalba flicker, their forms stuttering between outlines and shadows, their arguments dissolving into echo. One of them tries to speak again, but this time you don't listen. You step forward, and the mirror beneath your feet softens like melted obsidian. You sink slightly, but not down, not into the floor, into the memory of the floor. You're walking on a surface made of past decisions. A hallway unfolds. It doesn't lead you anywhere. It follows you, matching your stride like a polite dog waiting for your next thought. Each step ahead forms only after the one behind is erased, and soon you reach it. The maze that solves you. It's a wide chamber filled with floating stone pathways, suspended in soft twilight. No ceiling, no floor, just stone and sky. You try to take a step forward, but the path shifts. You try again, shifts again. The maze doesn't want to be solved. It wants to understand you first. So you stop walking and let it come to you. The stones rearrange, slowly at first, then faster, faster. Each movement punctuated with a glyph appearing mid-air, glowing briefly before fading. Not mirrored this time. Normal. Familiar. Like the alphabet of your soul is slowly reasserting itself. One by one, the pathways connect to you. Each one shaped like a decision you made, or could have made. The one where you turned back at the first calendar. The one where you ignored the bell. The one where you threw the journal into the river and never looked back. The maze isn't testing your logic. It's testing your pattern. And as it studies you, it begins to glow. You step forward, and now the stones remain. Solid, trusting. The maze accepts you, because you are now predictable, and that means you're almost ready. You walk forward, through turns that don't turn, and staircases that climb without rising. The sky above shifts from twilight to something more, recursive, like looking up into a kaleidoscope that only shows your past choices. Then you reach the center, a circle platform, another calendar. But this one's unfinished, literally. Half the glyphs are blank. A quill sits beside it. A single drop of ink hovers above the page, refusing gravity, and a sign, written in both Mayan glyphs and perfect English. This calendar ends when you stop writing it. You hesitate, then sit. You dip the quill into the floating ink drop. You write one glyph. It glows. Another. It glows brighter. And as you write, the room around you starts to fill in. Not with bricks, not with light, with possibility. Scenes materialize like sketches. People laughing around a fire. A village by a river that doesn't exist yet. A stone tower that hums softly in tune with your heartbeat. You're not recording history anymore. You're authoring it. And then, a soft voice behind you. Don't forget yourself in the story, Ixkak. Of course, she's seated beside you now, quill in hand, writing her own glyphs. You glance at her page. They're your choices, every one of them, looped and annotated with quiet affection, like a teacher grading a paper she's already proud of. You ask her, "Is this the end?" She smiles. "It's the center." You pause. "Of what?" She shrugs. "Of everything, and also nothing. Depends on what you write next." You put down the quill, take a breath, and for a moment, a single gentle second, the maze goes silent, as if the entire room is holding its breath, and in that silence, a memory surfaces. You were once just a traveler, looking for ruins, looking for history, looking for meaning. Now you realize the calendar wasn't waiting for you. It's made of you. Every loop, every rewrite, every version, all recorded, all alive. And as you look back at the glowing glyphs you've just written, you realize something quietly beautiful. The calendar is no longer mirrored. It's symmetrical, because for once, you're walking forward. You rise from the center of the maze, the unfinished calendar glowing gently behind you. The quill remains where you left it, levitating just above the stone surface, humming faintly, as if reluctant to rest, like a song that wants to keep being sung. You step away, and the world begins to rearrange again, not violently, not even dramatically, naturally, as if your movement is the cue reality was waiting for. Stone arches sprout into place. Vines slither across the walls in reverse. Light spills upward instead of down. Everything you pass seems to gently reform, not into what it was, but into what it should have been. You're not rewriting time anymore. You're harmonizing it. Ahead is another hallway, but this one is lined with tall, standing mirrors, each one polished to a glossy black. You step into the hall of reflections and pause. Each mirror shows a different you, but no longer fractured or confused. These are echoes, whole ones. There you are, laughing with a stranger in a jungle village. There you are, teaching children how to draw spirals in the dirt. There you are, building a fire while a younger version of you sketches the mirrored glyphs in a journal. Each of them glances up as you pass, and each of them nods. You're no longer the only version trying to escape the loop. You've become the center of it. A quiet bell chimes in the distance, soft, gentle, forward. You smile. It's the first time you've heard it ring normally. You reach the end of the hall and push open the door. Beyond it is a quiet jungle night. Stars shimmer in the sky like someone stirred sugar into black tea. The trees sway softly. The vines rest. You're standing just outside a small village, one made of stone and thatch, firelight and laughter, and music. Simple flutes and drums, played by people who feel familiar, even if you've never met them. One woman looks up from a circle of children, Ixkak. Only now, she's not ethereal, not ancient, not prophetic. She's just someone real. She smiles at you, says nothing, just gestures to an open seat by the fire. You walk over. The heat from the flames touches your face like a memory you're finally ready to keep. Someone passes you a bowl of something warm. Another hands you a carved piece of wood. It's a spiral. Small. Simple, finished. You stare at it and realize you're crying. Not the sobbing kind. The good kind. The kind that comes when you finally feel complete. Here's a final slice of real history to hold on to. In 2012, people panicked, convinced the Mayan calendar predicted the end of the world. But the Maya never said that. To them, the end of the long count calendar wasn't a catastrophe. It was a reset, a new cycle, a moment of pause, of renewal. Historians still argue whether this reset was meant to mark a spiritual shift, a political moment, or just a new starting point. But maybe it was simpler. Maybe it was about remembering who you were, so you could become who you are. As you sit by the fire, someone beside you begins to hum. It's familiar. It's the reversed melody you heard earlier in the spiral rooms. But now, it's playing forward. You close your eyes, and everything makes sense. Not in a way you can explain, but in the way dreams feel like truth just before you wake. You wake up, only this time you're not confused. You're rested. You're whole. The sun filters gently through the canopy above. Birds call softly in the distance, and the jungle smells like wet stone and blooming orchids. You're lying on a woven mat outside a small thatched hut. Around you, the village is waking up, slowly, like it knows the value of not rushing anything anymore. There's no temple in sight, no mirrored glyphs, no bell, just peace. You sit up. Your hands are steady. The journal, still beside you, is closed. But this time, you feel no need to open it. You already know what it says. Everything and nothing. All the loops, the spirals, the timelines. You still remember them, but they no longer pull at you. They rest quietly in your mind, like old stories told so many times they stop needing to be spoken aloud. You stretch, walk toward the fire pit, where a few villagers are heating maize. One of them, a boy maybe 10 years old, offers you a piece of fruit. You smile and take it. No one here treats you like a stranger. No one whispers about calendars or bells. And yet, every now and then someone catches your eye for a half-second longer than necessary. Like they know. They always look away with a soft smile, as if to say, "Don't worry, us too." You wander for a bit, barefoot on sun-warmed stone paths, until you reach the edge of the jungle. There, leaning against a tall ceiba tree, is a woman. You already know who it is. Ix-Kak. Except she's not here to test you, not to guide you, not even to warn you. Just to talk. She offers no formal greeting, just a question. So, will you stay? You think about it, because for the first time you can. There's no pressure, no ticking spiral, no thread threatening to dissolve if you choose wrong. Do I have to? You ask. Not as a challenge, but because you're finally allowed to be curious. She shakes her head. No. The loop is resolved. You can go. You raise an eyebrow. Back to what? She shrugs. That's the question, isn't it? You walk a little closer. Are you staying? You ask. I never leave, she says. You both laugh. It feels good. I think I'll stay for a while, you say. She nods. You always do, eventually. Then she turns to go. You sit down by the tree, stare into the swaying jungle, and just breathe. Want one more bite of real history? In the few surviving Mayan codices, there are recurring symbols of mirrors and spirals, always near the gods of memory, time, and transformation. These weren't decorative. They were ritual tools used by priests, shamans, and sky watchers to track the movement, not just of planets, but of the self. Some scholars theorize these tools were used in vision quests to help practitioners see through time, or connect with alternate selves. Historians still argue whether this was spiritual metaphor or something closer to conscious recursion. Maybe you just walked through that very practice. Maybe that's all this ever was. You watch the clouds pass overhead, the sounds of daily life echoing from the village. Children laughing, flutes playing, stone tools chipping gently at wood. You are not the first traveler to reach this place, but you may be the first to notice it and choose to rest. No more riddles, no more glyphs, no more testing. Just the present, which after everything feels like the rarest thing of all. The days here don't exactly pass. They settle like dust in a sunbeam. Light filters through the trees with the grace of remembered dreams, and every sound is familiar, even the ones you've never heard before. You build small routines without realizing it. Each morning, you wake before the sun fully rises, not out of habit, but because the sky feels like it's calling you to be part of its slow opening. You stretch beneath the ceiba tree, sip a drink made from roasted maize and cacao, and sometimes catch Ixcock watching you from a nearby rooftop, just for a second, before she vanishes into her own rituals. Sometimes you write. Sometimes you just stare at the spirals in the bark of the trees. And sometimes, when no one's watching, you hum that reversed melody. Only now it plays forward, perfectly. No one in the village questions you anymore. Not because they've stopped being curious, but because they already know the answers wouldn't help. You're here. That's enough. The jungle no longer whispers. It breathes, in harmony with you. And the calendar? It doesn't appear again. Not in stone, not in light, not in dreams. Because it's finished. Whatever it was tracking, whatever story it was spiraling toward, you've become it. There are no more loops. You are the loop resolved. And the spiral? It's just a circle now. The villagers celebrate the Red Moon Festival a few days after your arrival. Not because the calendar says to, but because the sky looks different that night. Cleaner, lighter. They paint spirals on their arms and faces. Not backward, not mirrored, just balanced. You don't speak much. You don't need to. People sit beside you. They tell you stories that feel like dreams you haven't had yet. You laugh at the right moments. Your smile comes easy. And later that night, when the music winds down and the embers of the fire float upward like glowing memories, you walk into the jungle one last time. Not far. Just to the edge of the clearing. There, hanging in the air, is a soft shimmer, a ripple, the exit, or the entrance. You smile. You don't step through. You turn away and walk back to the fire. This is where you stay. This is where you end, or begin, or both. Because in the calendar's quiet final moments, it wrote a final line you can now feel resting in your chest. Time was never your prison. It was your teacher. You look up at the sky, and it looks back, gently, patiently, as if to say, you did well. And now, as the spiral calms, the jungle quiets once more. The stars overhead have stopped spinning. The bell has long since rung its last. You're no longer walking through puzzles or slipping between versions of yourself. You're here, still, soft, safe. You let your breath slow. Feel the weight leave your shoulders. No more mirrors, no more riddles. Just warmth. The vines no longer twist around time. They cradle it. The stones don't whisper warnings. They hum lullabies. The calendar doesn't spin. It rests. And you simply exist, without needing to solve, without needing to return. You've earned that stillness. Let the last echoes of the story settle around you like warm mist. Let the images fade, gently, like a slow tide retreating from the shore. And if tomorrow a small spiral appears in the steam of your coffee, or if a reflection in a puddle blinks before you do, smile. You'll know it's just the calendar saying hello, and you don't need to answer. You already did. Now rest, traveler. The loop has closed, and so has your journey. Good night.